Good afternoon, friends and colleagues of Capa Social Work. We are now with Kath Khangpiboon from Thailand. Thank you so much, Kath, for being here. Really appreciate you stay with us today afternoon. How are you?
So good to see you again. I'm very good now. I'm talking here from Poland. Yeah.
Wow. You had a nice travel. Good. Well, Kat, um, she's a bachelor in social work, master social work, license in social work, is a Women's Fund Asia board member and the Institute of HIV Research and Innovation. Her work focuses on the human rights of transgender and how to educate the public to understand LGBTIQ issues. She is currently an assistant professor at the Department of Social Work at Thammasat University. Thank you so much, Kat, again. And well, eh, let's see your beauty presentation.
Yeah, you are very welcome and thank you so much for Kappa Social Work to invite me to join these sessions. And I would say, hola, ¿cómo está?
Muy bien.
Super bien, muy bien. See? Okay. Can I share my screen?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So the topic that I would talk about today, I would talking about gender equality in social work, and I believe most of social work now in after the 21st century, our work is shaped to work closely from micro level, macro level, meso level, and macro level are related with gender issue. And this issue is very, is inquiry from many fields of social work talking about it. And I would like to, discuss and invite you to join for some conversation about this topic. I would like to start off my quote. I got that when I'm studying in master degree, and I think this one is very interesting course. The course is those who needs the most receive the least. Again, those who needs the most receive the least. What do you think about this quote? What do you think about it? Most of people thinking about we working with people who need help. But in reality, that people, they lack of opportunity to get help because they lack of power and they are marginalized people. That is why code is quite important and this code is quite interesting for me. All right, of the topic on gender equality in social work, I will talking about the idea of what kind of gender equality in social work, and I will give you for the introduction about gender and equality, and we are talking about violation of rights for sexual diversity groups. The next topic is anti-oppressive social work. Some of you might be heard that one. We are talking about marginalization in social work, structural social work, techniques in social work to work with on gender issue. So what kind of empowerment? The idea and the idea about talking about the patriarchy and structural oppression. And the next one is a power dynamic adaptation by Foucault perspective. And we will be talking about human rights protection for sexual diversity. And the final topic, we will be talking about legal framework. All right. Can you see the picture on your right-hand side? The picture we have two children. They are looking something between their legs.
Kat, I only see the first page.
Oh, you are still see only the first page, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me. Thank you so much for your kinding. Let me share it again.
Yeah, you could.
It's working now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We were talking about the first topic is gender and equality in social work. Can you see the picture of two children on the right-hand side? And what do you think about this when you see this picture? What's children doing? What they are doing? Or what they are looking for? This picture, it will be starting to discuss on our topic on gender. What is the importance of these pictures? Because we learn other gender from society. The beginning we learned about relationship on gender relationship. We learn from our parents. We learn from other family. We learn from our community, and we learn from our society. This all are connect and affected the I and create the idea of gender and equality. That is why I would like to starting from this picture, and we will be back to talking about this picture again. The introduction to gender and equality is examining the importance of understanding gender's dynamics in social work practice. And challenges faced by social work is identifying barrier to gender equality and inclusive services and delivery, and what kind of the strategy for promote equality, to explore the evidence-based approach to foster inclusive and equitable of social work. This is so what kind of the scope of gender and equality in social work. Then finally, to answer most of your questions about what is the meaning of the picture on the right-hand side with two children looking something. The idea about the gender is they have another quote, it's quite interesting. They said, sex is something between your legs, while gender is something between your ear. Does that mean people learning a gender by society? So what is the topic we were talking? We are looking for, so what kind of discriminations against LGBTIQ individuals, and how we can highlighting the widespread violations of human rights and faced by LGBTI community globally. It challenges to sexual identity and expression, addressing to the societal stigma and oppression that impede LGBTQ individuals from freely expressing their identity. So, and the last one, the topic of the importance of inclusive society services, emphasizing the needs for social work practices that are sensitive and responsive to the unique needs of LGBT individual. The idea about when we are talking of gender relations, I wanted to invite you to see the picture of the so-called complex and intersection with the topic imagination about our client, other people who are working with. The individual have a lot of issue. One person there might be have 100 issue, 100 story. That all of things are combined and intersections like this. Is that mean we are working with context and how can I say is so a complicated situations when we working with our client. Okay, I'll be talking about the violations of human rights or violation of rights for sexual diversity. Most of the topics now, and also this month is the Pride Month. We will heard a lot of raise this issue with this month. The priority of topic to talking about this is the criminalizations and violence LGBT individual because most of them they are widespread to discriminalizations, discrimination and violence due to their sexual identity and violating that the fundamental human rights. Um, we are still have other societies still stigma and exclusions, and especially for LGBTQ individuals are often expensive on a social stigma. Most of them they feel like they are marginalizations and they have a limit access to public space and restricting their ability to express their identity freely. So what kind of the idea about the marginalization when we're talking the issues, um, you can imagine like a circle in the middle, and a marginal people they push out of the center, and they are still in the margin of circle. Is that called a marginalized people because most of the people could not get into the center because the lack of opportunity and the lack of power to go inside or to go to get access to the power and and resources. The last one of this topic is important of human rights perspectives, protections. So upholding human rights principle is essential and ensure the recognitions and protection of civil rights for LGBT individual and promoting their inclusion and well-being. This is the explanation, the topic of violation rights of people who are a diverse and diversity of their sexual. Okay, we move to the next topic. This topic is anti-oppressive of social work. I was get discussion from my friend who are have the opinion and asked me to change this title from anti-oppressive social work to another term to call like we yeah, the concept or the theory of anti-oppressive social work or AOSW is quite a lot of movement to discuss and talk about it. And I think this topic is tag shifting from anti-oppressive social work to empowering social work or empowerment social work. Does that mean I think we might change this topic from anti-oppressive of social work to be empowering a social work. Does that mean our client are center, our client are majority, our client is our client is um, um, at the center or the centric of practices and that it is the centric of the idea we work with them. Um, the concept of of oppressive social work or empowering social work is empowering client to live with rights. Does that mean social work aim to help clients exercise their fundamental rights and live with dignity, addressing exfoliations and oppressions. So another topic is challenges posed by social differences. Clients often face a barrier due to social inequality, such as discriminations and limited access to resources and hindering their well-beings. And most of the clients around the world who are marginalized people, the lack of support. And you can see is on the illustrated on the light of your right hand side. And this picture show the level of we work is called the concept of eco social work or context of social work start from individual, micro level, meso level, macro level, and social construct, social constitutes are takes over and all around the client. It's all of things are affected by level to level and cross and intersection as I have been talking in the previous slide. It's quite interesting and remind us to thinking about, so what is the level of oppressive or what is the level of we can empowering our client, what we can start in individual level or start in the micro level, then family, or starting in meso level or starting in micro level to be putting empowering and advocacy in policy level. It is, I mean, it is we have to remind us thinking about the ecology of social work when we're talking about the concept of empowerment and or anti-oppressive social work. So, and the last one is that mean social worker roles in the systematic change, and social work are instrumental and transforming oppressive systems and the structures to promote inclusive and equitable social services. And if you have some question, you can leave your message on the YouTube channel you are watching, or some of us here in Zoom. If you have any question, please leave your questions in the chat box. Thank you. All right, we move to the next topic are marginalizations in social work. And as I've been mentioned about when we're talking about marginalized, we have to talking about power, we have to talking about resources and center or centric or something look like that to identify what kind of marginalization in social work. The idea or the concept of marginalizations is the institutional barrier, such as for transgender a social worker. The regulations that prevents transgender individual from becoming a social worker and perspectives discriminations and limit on diversity and their professions. I add these points because this my own experience, and I'm seeing a lot of people who are marginalized and they become a social worker. They got a lot of challenge to get access on their professional roles. Is that mean most of is not our client surface with discriminations, and most of social workers still have the discrimination and stigma in our professional roles. And we are not talking about the interdisciplinary team when people could not see our roles in their work, but gender identity and sexual orientation as a big problem and refer to discriminations and stigma. And that's why I raised this issue when what do you do when you have a transgender who are social worker, who are transgender social worker working with children, working with family, working in a clinical social work or medical social work. So what do we do, or what we responsibility to protect them as a part of our work? On the next point, the societal stigma against LGBTIQ social worker too, the widespread social stigma and the prejudice against LGBT individuals hinder their ability to be accepted and thrive as social worker, compromising inclusive service delivery. And the last point of this, when we're talking about marginalized in social work, is the importance of LGBTIQ affirming social work, embracing LGBT affirming practices of crucial for social worker to provide culturally sensitivity and empowering support to marginalized sexual groups. I think most of the programs in bachelor degree in a social work programs around the world, they talking much about the cultural literacy. Now we're talking about media literacy and intercultural or cultural literacy. Is one point of the many programs around the world in social work. They are have some course or topic to talking about this with start from the bachelor degree. So what kind of the structural social work, and some of you might heard about it. The structural social work, they are key component as I analyze for my reading. The first thing is what kind of the consciousness raising. The consciousness raising, if you are in Latin American, you might be heard this concept from the Paulo Freire. I might be not, I may be wrong pronounced, Paulo Freire. Yeah, you can correct me after this. But the consciousness raising is quite important to raise and try people who can empowering themselves. And what kind of will be adapting the consciousness raising with the marginalized people who are marginal right of sexual groups? It does that mean that we can empowering marginalized sexual group to critically examine societal norms and challenge the oppressive structure? That they can, other client can fact finding what kind of the oppressive structure they struggle with that. What level of their struggle, what is social norm are influence their life, and they could not express their gender identity or their sexual orientations. All right. The next point is normalizations. The normalization is a promoting to acceptance and inclusion of diverse sexual identity as a neutral and valid part of the human's experience. I mean, most of stigmatizations is over over the 40 decades we have still stigma about the HIV issue, the HIV and AIDS issue, and the effect of the HIV and AIDS issue are influence and continue and retain stigma to LGBT person. And that's why when people thinking about a marginalization people like LGBTIQ, and some people in some society thinking to linking about this group to HIV issue is unacceptable for now, but we have to do that too. How we can do is normalization and open space, make people the inclusions and make the people confident to express their gender identity and sexual orientations. Okay, my last point about this structured social work is this collectivization or collectivisms. The collectives, the idea is fostering the collective actions and solidarity among the marginalized sexual groups and advocate for their rights and transform oppressive system. And that's why when we work with our client, we don't let them be alone, but they try to let them to join the network or what kind of level of networking and can support them, or we can link them to get another chance to meet another group or another level of society to, to get consult or to get a group working and form, and they can hear another view, another point of view from another person. They might be get, accept and support by networking. All right, I will move to the next topic is techniques in social work. And so again and again, I talking much about the concept of the ecologies of social work. Outer work is still in context, and yeah, and when you see the glasses, the looking glasses, the lens of the intersectionality are important for the social work. We can see deeply what is the root of problem or what is the root of issue or what the root of that phenomenon by wearing the intersectionalities or intersectionality multicultural wearing these glasses to see what is the root of the problem. Is that mean the technique we use in social work when we wearing the glasses of intersectionality is redefine the social work structure, validating diversity perspective, and establishing the dialogue relationship? I think this one is can help when you thinking what is the lack of when we're working with people who are struggle on their gender. Is when we're talking about um, domestic violence for women and girls, the traumatizations for the male people who want to be the leader and they struggle on their roles because they want to be the head of their family and they get a lot of oppressed and from society like to be the leader. I think this one is can help, and this technique will be help to get more um, um, the roots of problem when we talk about their problems. Um, I would like to move to the next one is topic on empowerment. That we were talking about anti-oppressive social work in the previous one, and I tried to link to change like um, it might be the it is the time to change from talking about anti-oppressive to be move the tag shifting or the shipping idea or the paradigm from um, anti-oppressive to empowerment. So empowerment, we have to define. So what is the meaning of the empowerment, or what we can defining of the empowerment? The empowerment is the process of gaining access to resources and control over one life, enabling individual to achieve their goals. Okay. The word of control is might be like, oh, we're talking about anti-oppressive and why we are have to use the word is control. You might be have another word is support. This one is might be better like okay a co-correlations, collaboration, co-connection. Also, what kind of that it can help to be better the words of using. And I think this is better we are discuss about the words we use and how we can select it how we can select some word to be support our work. Okay, the next one of the empowerment point is increasing resources and access. Empowerment focuses on improving access to resources, especially for marginalized groups. to promote equality and self-determinations. Wow, I never heard this word on self-determination as a long time. Like when I was studying in Bachelor of Social Work, this one is one of the keyword to be reading and to be discussed in the classroom. Is that mean, do we believe in the self-determinations, like non-judgmental with our client, whatever they are, or whatever who they are, we are accept them. And self-determination is still important and support the idea of empowerment too. So the last one of this topic is empowering marginalization group is crucial for marginalized and communities to overcome barrier and actively participate in decisions making processes. All right, some of them some of our clients they might be confident when we working with them like individually, but some of our clients they need a group support, they need a group to be helped, to be worked with, and that's why we can select the level of of our practices. And we have a lot of true we have a lot of social work true, we have a lot of social work techniques, we have a lot of level of our methodology of social work to working with other client. But don't forget to let them still on the self-determinations and self a decisions making process to be the part of the process is still important. Right, one of the more thing when people talking about gender, the concept of anti-patriarchy and structural oppression are still discussed from now. I think in the outer society now, and as I observe in social media, they have a lot of group who are talking about anti-patriarchy, or how we can learn to understand patriarchy and what kind of patriarchy influence, especially on gender issue, and especially women and girls. They are talking about it so much on social media, and I see a lot of hashtag like me too, like women and girls empowerment, like uh, voice other voice something. It's a lot of hashtag on social media. Is that mean most of people, especially for the young generation, they are interested about what is the influence on in their starting from their family, starting from their community, and starting from their society. What is the effect of patriarchy, and what kind of the structural oppression is effect to them? So the impact of the patriarchal structures, the patriarchal norms and expectations can be hinder the healthy um, sexual identity developments of individual. And patriarchy, transgender and gender non-conforming people that are still, and discriminations and employment, educations and healthcare. Um, for example, transgender individuals are often face the systematic discriminations at the key area of life, like when they contact to the hospital, when they get the services from the social services setting, they didn't get any gender sensitivity from the staff, and limiting their access to opportunity and essential services. The next topic is important to the inclusive social services, providing LGBTIQ affirming and culturally responsive social services is crucial to support and well-being and empowerment of transgender individual. All right. I hope some of us might be have questions, and don't forget to leave your message from the YouTube channel as you are watching now, and you can leave message and from your question or your perspective too. Okay. And the next topic is power dynamics as a Foucault perspective. Most of the ideas after the post model, most of us we discuss a lot of the Foucault on the Foucault influence perspective, talking about what kind of power dynamics has happened. The power dynamic when we're talking about the couple relationship or the gender perspective, I mean, it's always happen look like someone are higher than someone and someone are still lower again. And how we can thinking and critical, how we can balance the power, because some of individual they feel like depend on their social status, depend on their social identity. They might be feeling they have the overpower. And some people, and especially for people who are marginalizations, they are feel like they are lower power. How we can make this to be equal and people can share their power relation. We call power sharing. We call power sharing. Examine power and knowledge as a Foucault theory is poses that power is pervasive and linked to the knowledge and embedded within the social structure and discipline body and social institution creates duties and disciplines body through the surveillance and normalization of behavior. And what is a power dynamic with sexuality and identity? Power relation shape a concept, shape and constraints of the expressions of sexual identity and leading to the normalization of certain form of sexuality. For example, you may see the idea about gender box, masculinity and femininity are follow people by their gender identity and gender expressions. So why we didn't believe when women pretend, or it's not a pretend. Women doing something are strong. Women doing something a leader. Why society not acceptable? And in the reality, why transgender people is unacceptable when they want to be working as a professional occupations, like why transgender teacher is unacceptable in school, why transgender doctor, transgender lawyer, a transgender nurse are not accepted in their career or a career path. Does that mean that identity could not balance the power and their power is less, they are powerless. They could not find people who will be share on the power. And that's why I'm talking about the power dynamic with the gender issue in our state. And I believe that most of us have been experienced working with the gender issue. And the gender issue is a cost-cutting issue for now, which related with the climate change, the boiling world, the environmental. We are talking on gender in the world, gender in disaster, gender in many issues. I mean, gender are cost-cutting issue around the world. So what do we do now? So you can see the picture of the world map, and I get it from the ILGA world. They are discussing and talking and mapping about so what is I mean reality happen about the sexual orientation laws in the world. And you can see on the geopolitics are related with gender issue or and gender identity and sexual orientations issue. In the global north, and especially they have the law support, and that's mean in the global north they have very strong on legal framework, and that's why they can produce and they can adapt the policy in their country to protect the gender issue. But in this at the same perspective in the global south, I mean in developing country still have problem on sexual orientations and gender identity to be get accepted by law. Marriage equality or same-sex marriage are talking much in many countries from now, but don't forget some country in the world, they are still have punishment who will be express their gender identity. And you can see on the right-hand side of the world map and talking about the, I mean, the situations of gender identity and sexual orientation around the world. So what do we do now in the international level in the global perspective? We have UN guidelines for sexual diversity. Some of us might be heard about the Yogyakarta Principle. The Yogyakarta Principle is our outline of United Nations guideline to ensure the equal rights and the protections for the individual with diverse sexual identities. You might be, I try to link this concept about um, um, with um, with the being rules on women issue, and after the women um, after the elimination of women's discriminations um, from from that one, and most of the countries around the world they adapt. I mean, they adopt that one and they translate to their national guideline or national policy or creating by law is I mean the influence from the international and comes to the nation in many countries to adopt and adapt the concept of women rights and try to relate it with their policy. Um, I want to linking that one because that is because and when we talking about the Yogyakarta principle about LGBT or sexual orientation and gender identity guideline is I mean some of us might be have heard that before. Some of us might be what kind of Yogyakarta principle or what is the Yogyakarta principle. All right. The next point is the protecting human rights of LGBT IQ groups. The principle aim to uphold the fundamental the human rights of LGBTIQ individuals and promote their inclusion and well-being. And the last point of this one is promoting equality and non-discriminations. And the guideline is call for eliminating discriminations and ensuring equal access to services for people for sexual orientation and gender identity. And this is the last point of my presentations. I would like to get your for instance in Thailand about legal frameworks. As I mentioned, Thailand on 2017 we have the on 2017 we have the news and update Thai's constitutions. In that sector is here the period is discriminations based on gender and promoting equality and inclusion for all citizens. And after that, but before that, we have the Gender Equality Act in 2015 is aimed to protect rights for all gender in Thailand. The act is seeking to safeguard to the rights of the individual with diverse sexual diversity and gender identity and sexual orientation and through its implementations required for the future steering. Well, I would say that some country, especially in Thailand, we have gender equality, but we have to discuss again about what of the equality of implementations when we use that law to working with people in that country. Okay. And the last point of my presentation is despite the existence for the rules, the legal frameworks, there is a pressing need to be enhanced society to understand and ensure the effective enforcement of this law. And it's crucial to provide meaningful protection of LGBT and individuals and foster for more the inclusive in society. Well, most of our work as a social worker, we have to know a lot of the regulations, the international regulation, policy, law. We are holder a bucket of law, a bucket of legal frameworks. We have to link that. So what is the issue of gender and what kind of gender related with legal framework and use that to help our client and use that to help the gender issue in your work. I hope my presentations can increasing and the number of people who are social worker working on the gender issue. Some of my misunderstanding, my the jargon word or something it's missing during my presentation, I would apologize and I accept and please accept my apologize on my miscommunications. And if you have any question, don't forget to leave your message on your YouTube. And thank you so much for Kappa to invite me to join today. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kat. Thank you so much for your presentation. Really, you talked a lot about the laws, no, the situation, some parts. Here in Latin America, for example, in Peru, at least, we still have laws for women, no, not still for gender, for example, no. So the law is no. It's like a contradiction because we have international laws, no, to protect everyone, but still it's like we are not in development on this aspect, and the society here is a little more traditional and don't talk so much about these subjects, no. It's a little difficult to try to understand people to change of this conception or try that they understand that these people who have rights as you say, isn't it? And still we have this kind of how you say, I saw that discriminations still, no, it's a lot in Latin America. It's a lot. It's not common. It's not usual to see so much people which show by themselves, no, and the majority of people is just woman or men, no not so much people who really show themselves, no, or hide. So much of them hide, and it probably make it get depressed, no, the people because couldn't speak about their how they are feeling. in this moment? What do you think about these kind of troubles still in the society?
So yeah, I'm totally agree. And if we cannot protect on the gender issue, and that the issue might be bigger and bigger as you mentioned about the people are still have the mental challenge because they could not talk. And I think provide to talking about gender, starting from a family issues, family work, continue in the community work, connect to the in the next level in the policy work. This might be can help to raise the idea of gender issue or gender protection to be the part of our social work. Yeah, we can do it.
What do you think that social workers must to do with this situation?
So now I think a gender issue are, I mean, as I mentioned about is the urgent issue. That's the number of increasing of discriminations and violence for the women and girls and people who are LGBT around the world. They are struggled on that. And there's a big reason why we have to work and increasing the idea about the social work to be the part of that one. And as I observed that some of program in bachelor degree in social work, um, they have the subject on gender in social work or gender in equality. I mean, many school teaching about it, and I think this one is can help. I mean, my junior social worker can be have the idea about social work with work with gender issue and work with the people from I mean in the future.
Yeah, you're right. I think that education, no, is the basis of everyone. And we have Amelie that later we will talk about the gender agenda in schools, no, in the systems of schools. Well, what will be your message for social workers in Latin America?
Yes.
uh, for ending the conference, what is your message? Message, your your comment, your suggestion for social workers that are watching you now, or they will watch you later.
I could not hear you. I'm not well. I think my connection is not working for now.
Oh, now, ahora, ¿me escuchas? ¿Me escuchas? ¿Me escuchas? No. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, it's very well for now.
I, I was telling you, what is your message for the social workers in Latin America that is watching you now or will watch you later?
Oh yes, I think I mean I was mentioned about the global south and the global north as a global south and the Southeast Asia and Latin America. We are the very, I mean, I mean, we are in the same situation to not only working with our client, but we are working on now the a politic issue and linkages. And this challenge, I mean, still happen in the global south. And I think when we have the part of the social work role, we be the part of, I mean, political movement. Um, uh, I mean, how can I say? Politics is a part of our work, and that's why I encourage you to, working with empowerment people to be the part of the participation to create a democracy. I mean, to I mean, um, to support the democracy will be happen in that country in the global south. That I want to share for my opinion.
Sure. So if a good law will get involved everyone without distinction or anything. Well, thank you so much, Kat. Really,
You're
we
very welcome. You're
appreciate
very
this time.
welcome. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. After the Congress, we will put the subtitles in Spanish, no? Because most of people, here speak more in Spanish, so not so much speaking English. But the good is that we have the record, so later we will pass in Spanish.
Sí.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kat, for
Bye-bye.
everything. Bye.